There's a little convenience store in a strip mall near me that I've gone to late at night for years. Gas, milk, the thing you forgot, at the hour when the rest of the world is asleep and the store is the only lit thing on the block. Bright inside, big windows, a wall of coolers, everything humming. It always felt like the safest errand there is. A store is public, it's lit, there are people who work there. Nothing happens in a place like that. That's what I believed, the way you believe a thing you've never once had to test. A store at 3 in the morning isn't full of witnesses. It's a bright box on an empty block, and the only other people in it work there. 2 men worked the overnight, and I knew them the way you know anyone you see at odd hours. Nodded, paid, left. They'd made comments before, the kind you let slide. That I was in a lot, that I was always by myself this late, that they never saw anyone come in with me. Nothing you could point at, just a little too interested in when I came and how alone I was. And I did what you do with a feeling that small. I told myself they were bored men on a long shift, making conversation with the only face they'd see for hours. Which was probably true, right up until the night it wasn't. One night I paid and turned to go, keys already in my hand, and one of them called after me, easy, friendly, "Hey, hold on, don't run off." The other one, the one at the register, wanted my number, he said laughing, like it was nothing. And there was something for me in the back, they'd been saving it, come take a look. 2 ordinary sentences, a number and a thing in the back. And every one of them was a reason for me to stop walking toward the door and come back into the store. And I came back. That's the part I turn over the most. Not because I wanted to, but because leaving would have been rude, and being rude to 2 friendly men over nothing felt harder in that second than walking a few steps back inside. So I stepped back toward the counter, smiling, saying I really couldn't stay. And the moment I did, the shape of the room changed around me. One of them came out from behind the register, slow, casual, and drifted toward the front of the store, toward the door, toward the one way I'd come in and the one way I meant to go back out. And the other one started walking me the other way, not with his hands, with his body and the talk, and a little step in that turned me a few degrees at a time toward the back of the store. He was telling me about a party. They were having people over, he said. Wednesday, around 5. I should come, it'd be fun. They'd have stuff. And he kept it light and warm and rolling, one thing into the next, and every sentence came with a half step, and every half step turned me a little further from the front, and a little further toward the door at the back by the coolers. The staff door, the one customers don't use. And somewhere in there, the words stopped adding up. A party on a Wednesday, at 5 in the afternoon. Nobody has a party at 5 on a Wednesday. We'll have stuff, not a thing you could name, at a party thrown by 2 men I only knew as the overnight crew at a corner store. It didn't hang together as an invitation because it was never one. The words weren't the point. The point was that as long as he was mid-sentence, mid-invite, being nice, I kept standing there and I kept drifting back because you don't turn and walk out on a man in the middle of asking you to a party. The invitation was just something to say while he walked me to the back. And then I saw the whole shape of it at once. One man behind me, at my shoulder, steering, warm, talking, moving me toward the staff door. The other one, up front, not talking at all now, just standing near the glass door with his arms loose, between me and the street. 2 men, 2 doors, and I was being walked, gently, away from the one that opened onto the parking lot and toward the one that opened onto a room I'd never seen, in the back of a store. The front door was 40 feet behind a man who'd planted himself in front of it. The back door was 10 feet ahead of me, and everything friendly in that room was pointed at getting me through it. And every polite thing I did kept it going. Smiling, saying maybe, laughing a little, not wanting to make it weird. All of it was me holding up my end of a conversation that only existed to keep me walking backward. As long as we were two friendly people talking about a party, I was the unreasonable one if I turned and bolted for a door past a man who was only standing there. One man at my shoulder, one man on the glass, and me still nodding along, giving up a half step at a time toward the back. And the only way to stop was to stop. So I stopped. I stopped drifting back, and I planted my feet, and I made my voice flat and busy and bored. I said, "Sure, give me your phone," and I rattled off a number. All fives, I don't even know, just digits, fast. And I said I was late. I was already late for a shift I had to run. And I didn't wait to see how it landed. I turned away from the back door and the man steering me, and I walked straight up the middle of the store at the man standing in front of the glass. Not asking, not squeezing past, just walking at him, fast, like he was going to move. And a person who's only standing there has to move. He moved, half a step, enough, and I was past him, and my hand was on the door, and I was out, into the cold and the lot and the air. And I did not go to my car. My car was right there, and every part of me wanted to be inside it with the doors locked. But my car meant standing alone in a dark lot, fumbling for keys with my back to a store that had two men in it now, watching me through the glass. So I left it. I walked, fast, up the strip, past the dark shops, to the one other place with its lights on. A bigger store, people inside, a cashier and a couple of customers and a camera over the door. And I stood in the light of it and called someone to come get me. I left my car in that lot all night, picked it up in the morning, in daylight, with my brother in the passenger seat. And there was nothing to report, and I knew it while I was still standing in that second store, waiting for my ride. Two men had invited a regular to a party and offered to take her number. That's the whole of what happened on paper. No one touched me. No one said a threatening word. They were friendly the entire time. There is no report you can file that says two men were too friendly and stood in the wrong places while a woman walked herself out fast. I turned it over the whole way home, and there was nowhere for any of it to go. What I keep is the two of them moving at the same time. The one coming out from behind the counter to stand by the door, and the one at my shoulder turning me toward the back. Both of them smiling, neither of them hurrying, like it was a thing they'd done before and knew the timing of. I used to think a store couldn't be dangerous because it was public and lit and full of ordinary things. But public and lit doesn't mean watched. At 3 a.m, that bright little store had exactly 3 people in it, and 2 of them knew where all the doors went, and I was the only one who didn't. I still run out for the thing I forgot at midnight. I'm not going to live differently over one bad night in a place I'd been to 100 times. But I watch the room now in a way I never used to. Where the doors are, who's between me and the one I came in by. Whether the friendly thing someone's saying is keeping me somewhere I was about to leave. Because that was the whole trick. Nobody grabbed me, nobody had to. They just made it feel rude to walk away, and counted on me being polite all the way to the back of the store. So now, if being nice means going somewhere I didn't choose to go, I'm not nice anymore. I say I'm late, and I walk at the door, and I let them think whatever they want about me once I'm outside. I wash my own car, late, at one of those self-serve places where you feed coins into a box and the wand comes alive. I like it late because it's empty. No line for a bay, nobody waiting on you, just you and the machine and the water at midnight. 3 concrete walls, an open front, a light overhead, the hiss of the hose. It never once felt like a place something could happen. It's lit, it's off a main road. It's about as ordinary as a place gets. But a self-serve bay is a box with 3 walls and 1 way out. And when the water's roaring and your hands are full, it's the loudest, most private room you'll ever stand in the middle of a city. And the thing about washing your car is how committed you get to it, a piece at a time. The engine's off. The keys are up on the seat or down in your pocket. The floor mats are out on the wet concrete, both doors hanging open, the trunk up. You've fed the machine $4 in quarters and the clock's running, so you're moving fast, not wasting it. The whole car open and half of it out on the ground around you. You couldn't just jump in and drive if you wanted to. Your stuff's out, your doors are open, the wand's in your hand, the water's going. You're not a man who can leave in a hurry. You're a man in the middle of a job, with both hands full. I was rinsing the far side when I saw him. A man, on foot, standing at the open mouth of my bay. Not walking through, not passing by. Standing at the one open side, looking in at me. And the first thing my head did, before anything else, was look past him for a car. Because everybody at a car wash has a car. That's the whole reason you're there. His bay would have one in it. The next one over would. There wasn't one. No car in any bay but mine. None pulled up behind him. Just a man who'd walked in off the road, on foot, to the edge of the one bay with a person in it. And then he stepped in. Into the bay, out of the open, in under the roof where it was just him and me and the noise. And that's the thing you don't think about until you're standing in it. How loud it is. The hose alone is a roar. The pumps, the water hammering the concrete, all of it bouncing off 3 walls. I could barely hear my own voice in there, which meant nobody outside could hear it at all. Not a shout, not a yell, nothing. I'd always liked that roar, the way it shut the whole world out. Standing in it now, boxed in, it drowned me out too. I backed up a step without deciding to, and I felt the wall behind me. And that's when the shape of it landed. 3 walls, one of them at my back now. My car beside me with its doors hung open, taking up half of what was left. And the man standing in the only gap there was, the open front, the single way out of the box, closer now than he'd been, moving in like he had somewhere to be, and it was behind me. To get out, I'd have to go through the one space he was standing in. And there was a wand in my hand, on a hose that only reached so far. He kept coming, slow, under all that noise. Saying something maybe, his mouth was moving. I couldn't hear a word of it, and I don't think it mattered what it was. It was just a reason to keep walking toward me. No car, no wash, no coins, no bucket, no rag, nothing in his hands. No reason on earth to be inside a stranger's wash bay at midnight, except the one man standing in it, boxed in his own open car, with the water going so loud that whatever happened in that stall was going to happen in total silence, as far as the rest of the world could ever tell. So I stopped backing up. I got the open car door between us, put the steel of it at my hip, and I brought the wand up in both hands and pointed it right at him. This thing that throws water hard enough to strip the paint off a fender. And I made myself as big and as loud as I have ever been in my life. Not calling for help, nobody could have heard it. Yelling at him, right at him. What do you want? Get back, get out of my bay. Over and over, planted, huge, refusing to be the quiet, easy, boxed-in thing the noise had almost made me. And for a second he just stood there in the gap, in the roar, deciding. And then headlights swung across the wall. A car turning into the lot, rolling toward the far bay, ordinary as anything, somebody with a dirty car and no idea. Their high beams sweeping through the open front of my stall and lighting the both of us up for half a second. Somebody was there. Somebody who'd get out, and stand in the light and see. And I watched him clock it, the way you feel more than see a decision get made, the whole thing turning over behind his face. And he left, turned, and walked out the open side, fast, not running, but done. Out past the car that was pulling in, past a guy climbing out with a fistful of quarters who never even looked up, and off across the lot toward the road, on foot, the way he'd come. No car door, no engine. A man just walking away up a dark road at midnight, unhurried, like he'd only stopped to ask the time. I stood there with the wand still going, water everywhere, my heart slamming, and I watched him get small up the road and gone. And I kept coming back to the same thing. He had no car. He hadn't driven in, picked a bay, and happened to wander over. He'd walked in off the street, past a whole row of empty stalls, straight to the only one with a man committed in it, doors open, hands full, water roaring, and he'd stepped into the single gap in the walls. Everything about where he stood was chosen. I shut it all down, threw the soaked mats in the back, and drove off, dripping. And there was nothing to call in, and I knew it. A man walked into a car wash and walked out again. He never touched me. He never said a word I could swear to, because I couldn't hear one. He didn't have a weapon that I saw. He just walked toward a stranger in a wash bay and left when another car came. There's no report in that. Nothing anyone could do a single thing with. A man was somewhere he had every right to be, standing where he had no reason to stand. What stays with me is the noise. I'd always liked it, the roar of the wash. It's half of why I go. You can't hear the road, can't hear your phone, can't hear anything but water. For 20 minutes, the whole world goes away, and it's just you and the car. I never once thought about what that meant the other direction. That for those 20 minutes, the world can't hear you either. You could scream in that bay with everything you had, and a man 40 feet away at the next machine would never turn his head. I still wash my own car. I'm not going to pay somebody to do a thing I've done myself for 20 years over one man on one night. But I do it different now. I go when there are other cars there, other people in other bays, headlights coming and going. And I keep one eye on the open side of the box the whole time, because that's the only way out. And I know it now the way I didn't before. I don't get so deep into it that I can't walk straight out. Mats in the trunk, not on the ground. Doors shut when I'm not reaching in. One clear line to the open side, always. Because the walls don't move, and the noise doesn't stop. And if a man ever steps into that gap again, I want to already be looking at it. I needed cash late one night, and there were two ways to get it. The machine built into the wall out on the sidewalk, open to the street, anybody walking by. Or the one inside the little glass room, the vestibule, where you swipe a card at the door and it locks behind you, and you do your banking sealed in a lit glass box. I picked the box. Every time I picked the box because it felt safer. A locked door between me and the street. Nobody can just walk up on you in there. That's the whole idea of it. And it's true as far as it goes. A locked box keeps the street out. It just doesn't ask who it's letting in with you, and it doesn't let you out any faster than it locked you in. So I swiped my card at the door and heard the lock buzz open, and I stepped into the vestibule. Warm after the cold outside. Bright. Two machines on the wall, a trash can, a camera up in the corner, the street gone quiet and far behind the glass. The door settled shut behind me with a little click. Locked again. Sealed in. Safe. Alone in a lit glass room. The way I'd done 100 times and never thought twice about. I went to the machine on the left and put my card in and started punching in what I needed. And that's the moment you're most stuck, if you ever think about it, which I never had. Your card's inside the machine, your number's in, the screen says, please wait, and somewhere behind the wall, the thing is counting out your money, and you can't just walk away. Your card's captured, your cash is coming, you're committed to standing right there, facing the wall, with your back to the room, for the 30 or 40 seconds it takes a machine to decide to hand you your own money. I was standing like that, back to the door, when I heard the lock buzz. Somebody was swiping in behind me, and I felt the little drop of relief you feel. Almost another person, not so alone in here now. The door opened, the cold came in for a second, and then it clicked shut again. Footsteps, one person, behind me. A man. I caught him in the dark reflection on the machine screen, a shape sliding in off the door. And I did the polite thing, the automatic thing. I kept my eyes on my own screen and waited for my cash, and left him his privacy at the other machine, the way you do. Except he didn't go to the other machine. I waited to hear it, the beep of a card going in beside me, the shuffle of someone starting their own thing. It didn't come. He'd come in and he'd stopped, and he was just standing there, back by the door, behind me. Not banking, not waiting in any line because there was no line. There was a whole free machine right there, just standing in a glass box the size of a bathroom, between me and the only door, while I faced the wall with my card locked in a machine and my money still counting. I glanced at the reflection again, longer this time, and I looked at his hands, because a man in an ATM vestibule was holding a bank card. That's the one thing everyone in that room has in their hand. He wasn't holding one. Or he was, but it was wrong. I caught the color of it, and it wasn't a bank card. It was one of those flat plastic things, a gift card, a hotel key, the wrong shape and the wrong color entirely, the kind of card that can't so much as talk to a machine in that room. He had a card. It just wasn't a card for any of this. It was only a card for the door. And that was the thing that turned my stomach over. The door. The locked glass door that made this the safe choice. The one that buzzes open when you swipe a bank card. It hadn't checked whether his card was a bank card at all. It had just felt something card-shaped and opened. A hotel key, a gift card, a blank rectangle of plastic. The lock I trusted to keep the street out opens for anything you slide through it, and it doesn't write down that it did. There was no record he was in here. There was no record anyone had come in behind me at all. So this is what I understood, standing there with my back to him and my money still counting. The lock had done exactly one thing. It hadn't kept anyone out. It had sealed me in. One door, him beside it, a card in his hand that proved he hadn't come to use a machine because it couldn't use a machine, and a lock that let him follow me into a glass box and left no trace that he had. The safest feeling choice on that whole dark street was a locked room with one way out and a stranger standing on it, and I had walked in and swiped the door shut behind myself. And I just stood there, back to him, my card still locked in the machine. One door, him beside it, a hotel key in his hand that had opened it, and no way for me to leave any faster than he'd come in. My cash still counting behind the wall, my card still captured. 30 more seconds of facing that wall before the machine would let me go, and a man on the one door I had to walk through to get out. I didn't take my money. I hit cancel, and I didn't wait to see if the card came back. And honestly, I don't remember if it did. Whatever was in that machine, I left it. Because finishing meant standing there, back turned, for another 20 seconds, and I was done giving him 20 seconds. I turned around, faced him. A man about my height, ordinary, standing too close to a door in a room that didn't need him anywhere near it. That flat, wrong card still in his hand. watching me the way you watch a thing you're waiting on. And I said it loud and bored and certain, like it was already true. My boyfriend's right outside. He's circling the block. He's gonna wonder where I am. A lie. There was no one outside. But I said it looking right at him, and I stepped toward the door, toward him, because the door was behind him, and there was no other way. And I was not going to stand at that wall and wait to find out what he was there for. I moved at the door, like the lock was mine, and he was the one who had to explain himself. And I got lucky in the one way it's possible to get lucky in a sealed box. Outside the glass on the sidewalk, someone was coming, a woman, walking up toward the vestibule, already digging a card out of her bag to swipe in. Someone about to open the door from the other side. I didn't wait for her to swipe. I grabbed the door and I hauled it open myself, hard, before he could decide anything. And I went out through it, past his shoulder, out past the woman coming in, one quick, sorry, and I was through, out of the glass and onto the open sidewalk, in the street, in the cold, and the light. And he didn't follow me. That's the part that tells you what it was. Out on the open sidewalk, with a woman between us in the street, right there and cars going by, he had nothing. He stayed in the box. The last I saw of him, he was still inside the lit glass, not at a machine, not doing anything, just standing in the little room he'd sealed us into, watching me walk away through the glass. The open street, the thing I'd been afraid of, the thing I'd locked myself away from, turned out to be the one place he wouldn't come. I called it in the next day, and I want to tell you they pulled it up and found him, and they didn't. And here's why that one sticks. The door keeps no log. It takes any card and it records nothing, not a number, not a name, not the fact that a second person swiped in at all. There was a camera, and the camera saw a man, the way cameras do, a shape in a coat, and that was the end of it. No card to trace because his card had nothing to do with any bank. No record he was ever in that box with me, because the box that felt like security wasn't keeping track of a thing. Nothing happened on paper. I withdrew no money, and a man I can't name stood near a door. I used to think a lock was the same thing as safety, that a door you had to badge through was protecting you because it was keeping something out. But a lock only means anything if it knows the difference between the people it lets through, and that one didn't, and it never told anyone who it let in. So now I use the open machine, the one out on the sidewalk, in the air, under the lights, where there's no door for anyone to close behind me, and nothing that can seal shut while I'm standing there with my back turned. I'd rather be out in the open, where I can walk in any direction, than locked in a bright safe box with one way out and no idea who's got a card for it. The safest looking room on the street was the one I couldn't get out of. So stay in the open, and let's never meet. 3 rooms that were built to feel safe. A bright store at 3 a.m, where 2 friendly men walked me toward a door in the back. A car wash bay with 3 walls and a roar, where a stranger stepped into the only way out. And a locked glass box on a dark street, where a man swiped in behind me on a card that opened anything. None of them was dark, none of them was hidden. Each one was a small, ordinary, lit place you could see straight into from the street. And each one had exactly one way out and someone who understood where it was. So before you close the tab, sit with the quiet question. Of those 3, the 2 men who called me back inside, the man in the open side of the bay, the one who badged in behind me on the wrong card, which room would you have stayed polite in for 1 more minute? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe so the next one reaches you before the door does. And the next time a place feels safe because it's lit and public and locked, find the one way out before you need it, and count who's standing between you and it.